Hello and hi again to one of my other videos on the YouTube channel. This is Dr. Mafi, a PhD in Applied Linguistics. And today's lesson is about the differences or major variations between American and British English. This is a very important, lesson. So I want you to pay close attention. You may not actually find all of these differences, in fact, on one single page or in one single video clip. But here today, I'm going to do that. So please listen very carefully. I divided all the differences between American English and British English as two different varieties. The most important varieties, or the most frequently followed, English language or variety of the English language, is as follows. Well, I divided it into the differences between, for example, that happens as far as the pronunciation is concerned, and also the as far as the vocabulary or idioms in fact are concerned, spelling, grammar or usage, punctuation or formatting, and a style and tone. These are the major differences or categories where you can find the differences between these two English language dialects, or sometimes they call them accents. But accents is related actually to the pronunciation dimension of the language. Anyway, as far as the pronunciation is concerned, Americans tend to pronounce all of the red sound. So it's pronounced everywhere in all positions. However, British English, uh, does not have that kind of, let's say, rhotic pronunciation of R, meaning that sound is not pronounced, in fact, before the consonants. Only if there is a vowel, the red sound is pronounced, or if the red sound is at the beginning of the words. The second subcategory is under the pronunciation category is the vowel patterns. As you know, there are some differences between the vowel sounds, that we have in American English. Like, for example, the word caught or caught. These two words are pronounced similarly in American English. However, British people, in fact, distinguish caught as this sound, and also quote for this word, or Americans pronounce this word as bath, but British people pronounce it as bath. Well, and also we have another subcategory under the pronunciation. There is the glottalization. Forget about the technicality of this. I'm not going to focus on these things. Just wanted to simplify to say that the t sound, like in bottle, for example, in British English, is sometimes pronounced as bottle, and sometimes they don't pronounce the t sound in the middle. So that would be like bottle. Most often in some regions in Britain or in British English. However, we don't have this kind of let's say realization of the sound in American English. Nevertheless, we have something else in American English, which is what we call as flapping. Forget the technical terminology again. Such as the word water, right, is pronounced as water in American English. However, you have something like water in British English. Another category regarding the major difference between American and British English is the vocabulary. I'm sure that you know already, or you have seen some of the differences between the words, such as, for example, the American word elevator becomes lift in British English. Apartment becomes flat, for example, or truck is not used in Britain, it's used in American English. However, you have the word lorry. So the list goes on and on. And actually, you have to consult a very good dictionary giving you all the variations between these two different dialects of English. And the other category is the spelling. In a spelling, we have OR in American English most often, like color, honor, and labor, versus the British version, which you have OUR, such as the word color becomes COLOUR, or honor and labor. And another major difference between American and British spelling systems is that most often in American English you find out that there is the last letters IZE. Well, that becomes something like ISE. However, the pronunciation is the same, is organize, realize, criticize becomes this way actually in terms of writing. So organize, realize, and criticize. And another difference on their spelling, this category, is that ER in American English becomes RE in some special words, such as meter, for example, center, fiber, becomes such as this. As far as the spelling system is concerned in British English. Well, and the other one, for example, is OG, like catalog and dialogue, becomes OGUE, like catalog and dialogue in British English. Well, another major category of the differences between American and British English is the grammar. This is very important to note that, for example, in America, people or Americans favor simple past tense. In fact, like I already ate. Well, however, the British English uses present perfect more often, like I have already eaten. All right. And the preposition also on the grammar might be different, across these two varieties of English. For example, in America, we have on the weekend, on, note this preposition, versus the British English that uses at the weekend, at. All right. Anyway, and another subcategory on the grammar is the collective nouns. All right. What do I mean by collective nouns? Nouns such as team, family, committee, government, for example, or staff. All of these words are considered as like collective nouns. And in America, usually people use the singular form of the verb after them. Like, for example, the team is winning, not are, right? However, in British English, it is preferred. I mean, plural verb is preferred. So they consider this collective noun as a plural noun. So that's why you have the team are winning instead of is winning. All right. Of course, in British English, there's a word of caution because sometimes the collective nouns are considered singular, sometimes plural, depending on the context and situation. That's to say, if you consider the personal choices and judgment and subjects or something that becomes personal, like the members of the team, for example, are to be considered, then you look at the collective nouns such as the team or family as a plural noun. However, if it is looked at as an impersonal unit, right? For example, the team consists of or is three, like this, right? So even in British English, you may consider it as a singular one, but depending on that context. The recent actions, like the American uses simple past, this is what I discussed already, and British people more likely to use present perfect with just and already. So I just wanted to add to the first one, which we used the simple past in American English. In British English, we use just and already with the present perfect tense. All right. Anyway, and another category is the punctuation or formatting. In American English, we first use the double quotation. As you can see, there are two, pairs of quotation marks or inverted quotations, right? So we call it double. However, British people use the single quotations first. And within that single quotation, if there is another quotation, then they use the doubles inside. Another major difference under the same subcategory or category of punctuation or formatting is the way we talk about or write dates, right? Talking about for example, historical dates. In America, we use month first, for example, September, all right, or November, and then the day with a comma, and the last word is, or the last digits is the year. However, in British English, we use day and then the month. So there's a juxtaposition of these two words before the year without any comma in between the month and the year. And the last category of the major differences is about style and tone. Mostly British people use a little bit more formal and traditional words or structures. Words such as, for example, shall is also still used in British English, or needn't, for example, whilst, which is considered kind of formal in American English. So American English tends to be more direct, simplified, preferring will, for example, instead of the first one, or don't need to instead of needn't, and while instead of the whilst. So these are it's actually a recap of all of the major differences you may find between the two different varieties of English that we call American and British English. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video.